Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is SprinkleBeard. We stream every day over at twitch.tv/SprinkleBeard. Every day that we can, from about 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we are doing our review of Knecht. So Knecht here, he is a defense spirit champion. And again, we're focused on new player content and kind of beginner-friendly content. So the reason that we're reviewing these commons for those like watching the series, or maybe you're tuning into Knecht, is why can they be good? Where can they be good? And we are going to be reviewing every champion in the game. I will warn you, there's a lot more like epics and legendaries coming out every single month in this game. So there's going to be that point where like I get through all the rares and then a new rare is going to come out and somebody's going to be like, why have you not reviewed this? I'll get to it. Who knows when I'll get to it, but if you're watching like the epics and legendary series and then all of a sudden I'm going back and reviewing rares and epics, that's why. They're probably newly released. All right, so Knecht is our defensive champion. Ignore that, because that is not the spreadsheet. That is a pricing guide that I'm teaching Crafty to use. There we go. The one that we actually care about. So here we have Knecht, and Knecht right there. Perfect. So, looking at the stats, right? He's got 12,000 HP. That is actually kind of low. However, in terms of the commons here, it's actually not that bad. However, when we get to things like attack, his attack is weaker. That's not a big deal because he is a defensive champ, so not a huge deal compared to the average. Only 700 defense. So 700 defense and 1200 HP. It means he's a squishy champion. So he's a common. We expect him to be squishy, but for the record, he will feel very squishy. Even when you build him up properly as a defensive champion, you're going to feel like he's taking a lot of damage. Speed, he's at 98, so he's a little bit over the average. However, for me, I like to see around 100 speed. So, admittedly, he's actually still a little bit on the slow side. And then when it comes to crit rate, crit damage, resistance, and accuracy, he's got the classic 15, 50, 30, 0, meaning that when you 6-star him, nothing increases down here. So, Knecht only has one skill, so let's jump right into it. Attacks one enemy and has a 20% chance of inflicting critical hit. Damage is proportional to defense. So this is old language because obviously, like here we can see damage based on defense. I don't know why they put it in both slots. It's probably one of those things like they added this later on and didn't think to remove this at some point. So his low attack stat is actually a blessing, so that means he's getting more stats in other places. However, as a defense champion, right, he's not very pretty, right? 700 is a very, very low defensive stat. 12,000 HP is a very low HP stat. The biggest thing that he's got going for him is this stab skill. Having an extra 20% chance of inflicting a critical hit. When you first start off the game, that could be very useful. That could cause you to do some damage that you either like or appreciate, or it means that you can focus more on other stats like defense percentage, like crit damage, to help push you along further in getting more damage. Like most of the commons, he only requires about 4 books, so he's not that bad of a champion. And by books, we also mean other champions. If you found other versions of Knecht, you could feed them off to your original one here to fully book him out, which just means increase the skill damage of the skills. So overall, not a terrible champion, not one that I really like. I'd be very hard pressed to encourage this. Unlike Sister Militant, he doesn't have an all attack. He's got no skill that decreases, like no debuff onto your opponent, not even a self buff. The nice thing about him is this extra 20% should help you out a lot. It should let you get his crit rate up to 100% if you were building him up, and if you were smart about building him up properly, which in my opinion would be more of a bruiser, making sure that crit rate is closer to 100%. But again, he is a common. A lot of the commons we have encouraged that you might take them up as high as 4-star, and then after 4-star, it gets harder and harder to justify them ever, besides food. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and of course, until that next time, ta-ta.